Support the Amigos podcast on Patreon or PayPal and receive cool perks and rad swag. Visit our page at everythingamiga.com/support.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about the heart of the sunrise.
No.
The heart of China.
Yes, the heart of the sunrise.
It's a Yes song.
Ooh.
Sharp
No.
Distance.
Wow.
I can get up there.
No, you can't.
I am John Anderson incarnate,
No,
even though he's still alive.
No, you are not. No, that guy can go way up the line. I like Yes.
I do
like some of
too.
their stuff,
I love Yes.
But I mean, they get a little weird.
They do get a little weird. Aaron, before we kick off the show, it's time to talk about Amigathon.
It is?
Yeah.
When is that? It's coming up, right?
Amigathon is 1 week from yesterday.
What?
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Time to get my sweatsuit on, Boat.
Is that what you get on for Amigathon?
No, not really. It's like I've got less than a week to drop the rest of this weight.
Yeah, that's true. So we have raised over $1,000 for
All right.
Amigathon.
That's pretty good for not even actually having the event.
Right,
That's pretty good.
right. We are very much appreciative of all of the donations that have come in, both to set the schedule and to sponsor the event, and just people donating money. So thank you very much. Amigathon will start at 10 a.m. UTC, that is 6 a.m. Eastern Time, right here at Amigo Studios. And we'll continue for 12 hours. 12 hours of non-stop Amiga action with a couple of fun things in the middle, including the much anticipated Amigo Aaron weight loss wager weigh-in.
There'll be, I believe we have a mud wrestling ring set up. There'll be some of that.
Well, there is a D-Paint exhibition. Where we will compete for the best deluxe paint project.
Now, that's going to be live.
That's going to be live as it happens, right. As well as some of our Discord members have submitted some of their finest D-Paint creations that we're going to be showing off.
You're going to get humiliated in the public eye.
Yes, oh yes. Yeah. And we will also have an exhibition of tracker tunes.
Have you already made yours?
I have not even opened the program
Okay, thank
before.
God. Because I was talking to Brent about this morning. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do mine this week. He was like, no, you're not. It's over, Brent. I was like, what? No, it's not. He goes, oh yeah, you can't do jack. So now the gauntlet's been tossed. He's right. You know, and you're a music guy, so it's even more humiliating for you.
I was going to say, we'll see how well those things transfer over. I didn't see any trombone buttons on the Pro Tracker thing, so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, there's going to be a lot of fun to be had. We're going to play probably close to 25 or 30 games over the course of the event.
Yeah, man.
And it's going to start with Lionheart, and it's going to end with the Addams Family.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, outstanding.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. We are halfway towards our goal of $2,000. We're playing in support of the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. So if you have not yet, please visit amigathon.com and donate. Next up on the docket, Aaron, let's talk about what's been going on the website, everythingamiga.com.
Oh my.
What's Dreamcatcher been up to lately?
He's a crazy man. So he's got a couple offerings this week, and this is one of those weeks where actually I know what the hell's going on, as opposed to just being craziness. So first up on the docket here is a little item he did about Brat, the game Brat. Now, I have actually played this game, finally. There's one that he's played, and this game has some really awesome graphics in it, Bo. I mean, it's a beautiful game. The animation and stuff with the kid is real funny. That bit at the beginning there's
there's a new thing. Have you heard about Boss Baby before?
I have heard of Boss Baby.
I think that this might be the first incarnation of Boss Baby.
Yeah, he looks more like if Boss Baby and Kid Chaos got together.
It's an abomination. That's what that is.
He's like a Kid Chaos was a tough caveman. This guy's the baby version of this. Anyway, this is good stuff. The usual thorough telling of the game. He goes into great detail, and then of course there's the outlying wacky things that sort of fall into this game that he goes into as well. So I highly recommend you having a look at this one. Another one he did this week, and I have to say, Gosh, it's been so long since I saw this film, Bo. You've seen Willow?
Yeah,
Willow.
it's got the guy from Willow in it.
It's got do you remember the name of the big star?
Mad Markian.
No, Mardigan.
Mardigan.
I just told you that before the show, and you still forgot it. What a doofus. So this Willow was the the George Lucas, Ron Howard vehicle that was going to be like the new Star Wars, if you recall.
Right.
And it was the new Star Wars in almost every sense of the word. It had the exact duplicate characters in like medieval versions.
Sure,
it had the droids, it had the hero, it had the girl, it had everybody. It was like they reskinned Star Wars. Well, Willow didn't do too good, although its legend has grown.
Now, where would you put it in the pantheon alongside Krull? Which is a better film?
Krull is better.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
For a long time, I thought they were the same film.
It's totally incorrect.
Because they came out at about the same time. They both have the medieval thing going on.
You know, Capcom did a arcade version of Krull.
Yeah.
And I will say, or not Krull, of Willow, and the arcade version of Krull is better than that too, and I'll stand by that. I loved Krull. I loved everything about Krull. Soundtrack great, acting passable, and scenery great, special effects great flick.
You got a replica glaive, don't you?
I wish. I would love to have. I'd like to have the real one.
Yeah.
Man, I'd be killing suckers like you wouldn't believe.
That thing, does it return like a boomerang when you throw it?
No, you don't have to. No, you just go like this. And it comes back to your hand.
Ooh.
It's not like a boomerang. Any jerk can throw a boomerang. That's real
true.
weapon. This thing has magical powers, Bo. You know, they pulled it out of that volcano. It survived the volcano.
Is there an origin story for the glaive?
Even the ring couldn't survive a volcano.
That's true. That's true.
So the glaive is awesome. But there's no glaive in Willow. There should be. But Willow was, it's been so long since I watched. I would have meant to go out and check it out sometime. But of course, this is a scene-by-scene interpretation for Dreamcatcher. We've been watching it scroll by for about 5 minutes now, but Dreamcatcher goes to work on this thing as usual. And it's funny, I've not played the Amiga game. I have played the arcade game. Willow, it got a lot of support when it came out because people thought it was going to be a big deal.
It wasn't quite what people thought it was.
No, it is what it is. But hey, they can't all be winners, right?
That's
For every
true.
RoboCop, you got to have a couple Willows and some other duds from Sylvester Stallone and stuff.
Ringo's birthday was last week.
Ringo Starr?
Yeah.
No kidding. How old is the old boy?
He was born in 40, so that would make him...
You know when he was born,
yeah,
eh?
I'm a big Beatles guy.
I know, but still, he's the best one, so I guess you should know.
He's the oldest Beatle.
Yeah, he's still alive, too. He's still... Although, it's who was I listening to? I was just listening to one of my wrestling shows, and he just saw Paul McCartney play in San Jose, and he said it was like 2.5 hours of nothing but Paul McCartney singing old Beatles tunes. He said it sounded pretty good for an old guy. He's got to be getting up there too.
Yeah, he was born in 42, so
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy that you remember that stuff.
Why
do you remember that stuff?
It's because I don't want to crowd my mind with any useful facts.
Mission accomplished, dude.
Yeah.
That's all we got on the Site-A-Rini today. What do you got?
It's been an amazing week for Amiga news.
It's been amazing.
It's been amazing.
You didn't even go in. Before the show, I was like, we got any news? You were like, meh. I thought, okay. But then now it's all of a sudden, that's what that means? Amazing?
That's what it means.
Dang, okay. What do you got?
Well, we're going to check in with some of our compatriots on the Amiga scene this week, Aaron. First up, there's a new episode of Amiga Ireland that has just been released.
Yeah.
There is a retro computing museum in Ireland.
Oh, yeah?
And the Amiga Ireland guys are all up in it. And so
well put.
Yeah, and so there was an Amiga and some accoutrements that were donated to the machine. They also to the museum. They also go through the Mega 65, the new C64, the big one. I don't even know
what the Mega 65 is.
Oh, you don't even want to know what the Mega 65 is.
Is that like a new C64, like that, sort of like the next? Is that?
I want to say that the Mega 65 is some sort of a Commodore 64 add-on.
Was the Mega 65 named in the 80s? Because that's...
It does. It sounds like
Mega 65 power.
It came out of Sega's marketing department.
It's not like Neo Geo's marketing department.
These guys really, the thing that I like about Erla and the gang over there is they really do a good job of running down the news. It's the exact opposite of the news segment on this show, where we touch on things that we barely understand and then move on.
This is why we just touch them. It's a light touch. It's a dash of us as we roll right by.
That's right. That's right. So, get on board the Amiga Ireland train and check out their newest episode that was just released last week.
Now you probably know a ton of people since you were over there. You know all the Irish Amiga types over there.
I know a couple of them.
And you met the people that do that podcast?
Oh yeah, well it's Erla and a couple other guys.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I remember when they had their very first episode. We talked about it. So that's great.
Yeah. This is a new site that's just gone up. Jan Holbro on our Discord has started a new site that it touches on his memories of both the C64 and the Commodore Amiga. So I always enjoy reading people's origin stories with computers and things. Is that an incorrect term?
No,
to use?
I like that.
In the Jan Holbro cinematic universe.
I like Jan's name. I'm not gonna lie. Because it looks, for a lot of people, it looks like Jan Hobo.
It does.
My very first thought, I thought it was some sort of hobo
I still read
reference.
it that way.
But Jan, I read this over, and I have to say he mentioned some stuff here that amused me, including having TIs at school and some of the crazy stuff. It's funny how everyone had a different growing up phase. What they had at their school. Like when we went to school, when I went to school, there was no computers, and then eventually we got they got a Tandy TRS-80 Model 3 or 4 in there that was one for the whole school. And then eventually in middle school, here come the Ataris.
Right, and they were still in middle school when I came through 10 years later.
And then, so when we got to high school, they had the IBM PCs. They were not the juniors, but the next step. I can't remember the exact model. And you saw like VGA graphics, you're like, full color.
Right.
What the hell? It was a big deal. So everyone got a little taste. If I'd walked in and see a TI sitting there, that would have been a stunner.
It would have been weird.
Can you imagine if your school bought the Simpsons touches? Can you imagine if they bought a bunch of Coleco Adams or Aquariuses? Holy cow, man!
That salesman's laughing all the way home. He's like, man. I got it.
I would just get on the next boat out of town right there because you've pulled the wool over some suckers.
Never seen again. So yeah, check out this guy's site. All of these links can be found on the show notes link on our on the podcast page that is in your podcast player now.
And Jan's a real good guy too. So.
Absolutely. Up next, this is an article that Duncan Stiles linked to that is written by the guy that wrote the Black Lotus demo. Remember the award-winning demo from that big demo festival that just went down.
Yep.
And it's all about how he managed to get this full audio symphony thing going on in like 500K or something like that. How it was able to fit on one disc.
Yes.
So if you're into the more technical side of things, and if you're into Pro Tracker and all that stuff, definitely check out this page. He really goes, he talks about all the different things that he did to kind of compress this stuff down.
I have an IBM PC that I was gifted. I've been talking to you about it quite a bit. And I was playing Pray for Death on it this week.
I don't know what that game is.
It's a funny game. I actually covered it on Amigos Play a long time ago. But the same people that did it, I think the name of the company that did it was called Light Shock, and they did an Amiga game that we covered. It was a fighting game, a really good fighting game that felt like had like a Japanese feel to it, had like a Fatal Fury feel to it. It was really good. But you can always tell, and of course Psygnosis too, you can tell when former demo guys decide to start getting into gaming because the game has this. They always put on these crazy little tricks, and this one's got it too, where the menus fly off and they shake and stuff goes like that. There's all kinds of crazy effects, and so these demo guys are insanely talented, and they need. I don't know if maybe they do this, but hopefully all their little tricks have been documented somewhere, so in the future we'll know what the heck they were doing.
I've got a book called The Future Was Here. It was actually, I think Chad got it to me for my birthday one year. And it is all about that stuff. It's all about the tricks that the former demo programmers used to do awesome stuff on the Amiga that I don't understand any of it. But I've got the book. It looks good on my shelf.
Have you read it?
No. Coming up next, this was linked to by the one and only Chris Folds. This is a new memory expansion for the Amiga 600. We are the owners of Amiga 600.
Sorta, yeah.
And and
1.5.
And this thing is this adds 9.5 megabytes, an oddly specific amount of RAM to your 600. What is the significance of 9.5 megabytes, Aaron?
Listen, you got me on that one. One thing I did notice about it was it has a way to turn the some of the memory off. The 600, I don't know, maybe the 1200. They both have a gimmick to where the PCMCIA slot is affected by a certain amount of memory. I don't know how it all. I'm not a tech guy for that stuff, but there's a thing you can turn that off. I'm looking at this thing. R600 that we currently have, I can't get anything to work in the belly slot, the memory expansion port. The port doesn't work or something. And so I'm looking at this, and this is one of those gimmicks that goes with the processor. Maybe this may be something to look into.
Yeah, so about 63 pounds.
I like the ads. What is that, about that, $90?
Yeah,
something like that. Then they get you on the shipping. That's why they kill you.
That's where they go.
That's why, hey, listen, we don't have anyone making that crap locally for us. We're getting hosed off.
This is over at the Retro Ready store, by the way. Retro Ready.
I never heard of that place.
.1. It's the first time I've ever seen a .1 URL, too.
Hey, 9.5 meg, though. Woof.
You're going to be able to do whatever you want.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Coming up next, Amiga Bill, the Guru Meditation, had the latest WAUG user group meeting.
This looked great.
Up in New York.
So good.
This was 1 week after we were going to come up. It was a shame I had my sailing lesson this weekend, and I'd had a plan forever, and so we weren't able to make it up.
Oh, yeah.
But Bill really, you really get a bird's eye view on the proceedings. He basically just sets up a couple cameras, a couple of microphones, and all the guys come in, and it's all Amiga all the time.
I like Bill's hairstyle.
Look at this down here, Lotus link up play.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
He's got it going. I like the aesthetic down there, and wherever the heck this is at. It's not down. I guess it's in a basement.
I think it's in a basement. I think this is at Bill's parents' basement.
That's the way you do it. But Bill's a good guy, and of course, one of these days, and it won't be too far off. We're gonna go up and go to one of these meetings.
Yeah, man.
That's our goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're gonna join the West Cheshire Users Group. I'll go up there and pay dues. Dues are on me, Boat.
All right, sounds good. And finally, we can't go without not talking about our good buddy, supporter of Amigos, 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast, 10 Mark. He has a new episode of the 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast out where he talks about Amiga OS 3.1.4.
Yeah, this is a new update that was just released to the controversial update from a while back. Now, I'll be honest with you. I got so tired of hearing about this stuff that I don't care right now. It doesn't matter to me. But it's nice that they're updating it. I'm sure the resident baloney will take place, and it is what it is. So I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah, well, if this sort of thing doesn't bore you to death like it does Aaron,
I'm not
then
bored.
You literally just said it bores me to death and I'm tired of talking about it.
What bores me to death is the fighting.
I'm here to tell you guys about the real news and that Aaron's not concerned with, but I know you guys care about. I'm here, I'm fighting for you. So 3.1.4.1. He puts it through its paces. He runs the benchmarks. He knows what's going down. If you want to know about hardware, watch 10 Mark. That's all there is to it.
He's the man at that.
Yeah.
He's the man. I do care, Boat. I'm not saying that. I don't care about the controversy is what I was saying. You're getting ready to get one.
Sometimes, let's move on.
Yeah. Must we?
Let's talk about this week's game, Aaron. This week's game, The Heart of China.
Yes, The Heart of China.
Actually, I guess there's no article. I think it might just be Heart of China.
That's right.
Yeah. Sorry, I've been saying
it. It can have multiple hearts.
That's true.
It's a big country. So, Heart of China. Now, this is a game that I had seen the box for. Box is cool looking. Very nice box. And I believe it or not, I own the discs for this.
Really?
Amazing. I do. I checked. I thought I did, and I did. And I don't know where I acquired them. I had not played this game until this week, and so I've never stuck them in and fooled with it. So, Heart of China, a game that was released in '92 and was published and put out by an outfit called Dynamics. Now, Dynamics was an interesting company. I believe they were purchased by Sierra. And Dynamics, we know them. I actually did an Amigos play on one of their games. In fact, it was one of the first things I ever taped off the Amiga by myself, which was Stellar 7. You remember that sort of a...
it's a shooter, right?
It's a tank game.
Oh.
It's a space tank game.
Okay, I have no recollection of that.
Well, this is old. I mean, listen, we've done so much of these things. Who can say? Dynamics have done some really interesting stuff over the years. It's not a company you hear much about, to be honest with you. I don't hear much about it, but listen to some of the games they've put out, and you'll remember some of these. A10 Tank Killer, great game. I used to play that one quite a bit. They were responsible for Rise of the Dragon, and then the game that came after this one, which was Willie Beamish. You mentioned Willie. Now, I remember pirating that way back in the day, and it's so huge. And it took forever to get. And when I finally got it, I was like, man, I got it, Willie Beamish. I remember putting that sucker in, and I must have played that for about 5 minutes. I'm like, well, I wasted my time. It just was not my type of game. I don't know why.
Can you think of a lamer title character than Willie Beamish?
Yeah.
Kid Chaos?
That's him. Yeah. That's the one right there. So they also did a few other games of note. They did Red Baron, which was a pretty good game. They were responsible for Arctic Fox, which at the championship baseball. They did a few sports games. So they did some decent stuff. I'd say they're probably best known for, I don't know, A10 or maybe Rise of the Dragon would be the two I would think of them the most. This was another game for the ECS OCS. Now, it's funny when I looked at the conversions of this, it looks like that the PC version was first and everyone else sort of got the sloppy seconds on this one. And we'll get to that in a little bit. So what is Heart of China? Heart of China is I guess I would go with point and click adventure with a few arcadey elements that which I never got to because I guess they're pretty far into the game, where you play as a guy named Lucky, who is a former World War II flying ace who has been relegated to being an exporter from China, and he's exporting goods with his airplane. He's got a little company, and he's exporting stuff like silk robes and paper umbrellas, I believe is what he said. And he gets caught up in a crazy situation where a lady in China who is a nurse deep in the heart of China, deep up in there, she gets kidnapped by some guys. And so if you read the opening montage, the plot of this is her dad goes and buys Lucky's loan. Lucky has a loan for his company, and his partner and his secretary take all of his money and they leave the country. And then they go and then the guy whose daughter was kidnapped goes and blows up Lucky's boat. And so at the beginning of it, you're standing on a dock looking at the floating remains of what used to be your boat. And the deal is, he goes, you're going to go get my daughter. You're the man. And he's like, and I'm going to give you $200,000. And every day that it takes you to go get her, you're going to lose $20,000. And so you have to go. The object of that part of the game is to go and rescue this lady out of China. A bizarre plot, to say the least. Now,
well, I mean, I think as plots go, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's weird that the girl who was kidnapped's dad is the evil jerk.
Yeah, which is,
there's multiple evil jerks.
Yeah, I was going to say, you play sort of an evil jerk too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, well, some of your guys' responses are questionable.
Yeah.
So, like I said, at the beginning of this, you're on a dock and you're looking at your blown up boat. I mean, really, the first thing that struck me, but I want to talk to you about this and get you in on this right away. Now, I also played the PC version of this. As I mentioned earlier, I now have a functioning old school PC that I can play some of this stuff on. And the PC version of this, I skipped right to the game, and the game, of course, is in a higher color, than the Amiga, so it looks a lot better. But the Amiga version, the opening, I guess they all have this. There's a long reading segment, basically, at the beginning of this, where you're reading the story. And I thought to myself, boy, this would have been a lot cooler if I could have actually seen something going on. it's like 10 minutes of reading. What did you think about that?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
Did you? I mean, is it something you actually noted in your head?
This is what I thought. Yeah. My first thought was, I hate this.
Instantly?
My second thought was, actually, I don't hate this because I don't have to go and read the docs. Because what they've done is they've taken, because you know how many of these games we've played that come with a novella.
That's true.
And at least they managed to condense the story down into something that could scroll by on the screen, and you don't have to read this really, really long story by somebody whose first skill is not writing stories all the time.
I will say that's a valid point. That had not occurred to me. Now, and the fact that this thing checks in at 9 discs, they maybe had a 10th disc that had the intro, and they were like, "Listen, jerks. That's a caddy of discs.
Right.
How are we going to ship this thing?" And so although
it didn't stop Monkey Island 2.
Well, there you go. So the intro is mostly you reading. The only part that you really see is the actual kidnapping, which is cool looking.
Yeah, sort of like the beginning of Double Dragon.
It didn't show him hit her.
Yeah,
But in my mind, he cold talked her like the opening of Wild Wild West. Remember the old show?
Yeah, the one with Will Smith.
No, vote. I'll roll it up. So, as I mentioned, you play Lucky, and you're off to get this girl. So, what is this game? This game runs on this Dynamics like adventure engine.
Did they name the engine?
They did have a name, and I don't remember off the top of my head what
That's
it
all right.
was.
You don't have to find it. I was just curious.
The engine is it the DGDS? So this thing was put together so they could make these things quickly, and from what I read, it was even something that they thought they could use to have other people just randomly make these things at their leisure. You could use this system. The graphics in this game are interesting. It's a mixed bag, I would say. There's digitized like actors, and the backgrounds look sort of like
they're pre-rendered.
They were painted, maybe, or they're very art. They're very beautiful. But the problem is, the colors have toned down. And by the way, remember last week when you were bad-mouthing the AGA? This would have been the perfect time for the AGA to stand. They didn't make an AGA version, but this would have been a great time.
Smart move on their part.
For them to come up with a better-looking version, because this one looks a lot more washed out than the PC version.
Are you the one we're watching right now?
No, I'm talking about the version that we played, the Amiga version.
I don't see the difference. I mean, maybe it's because I didn't play them back to back, but in my mind, this does not look that much different than the Amiga version.
It does. And the thing is, I had them both running simultaneously to check.
So you could go back and forth. Yeah.
And the PC version it just looked clear. It's a higher res. You know, that's part of it. So that happens a lot on the Amiga. But it was still this was a decent attempt, and there's no doubt. So this game has a lot of reading. And I mean, it's an unusual system for a point and click. Now you've played a ton of these. Where would you place this in a pantheon of these point and clicks?
This is sort of in between Time Traveler and Cruise for a Corpse.
Okay, and in what way?
The dialogue boxes appear under the characters that are speaking, sort of like Time Traveler.
Right.
But there are dialogue options that are quite extensive, like you have in Cruise for a Corpse.
Right. Yeah. And the way this works is these dialogue trees come up. So that you've got really two things going on. I'm not going to lie. Again, my full disclaimer, these are not my bag. So I'm not great at these sorts of games. And it took me a while to understand exactly what I was doing. Because... And I'll give you a prime example. Early in the game, one of the first things you do is you meet a ninja, right? And so you go to this. You literally one of the first things you do is go to this bar and you're asking people questions. And when you ask them a question, this box comes up. It gives you some choices as to what you want to say.
Right.
And we've seen this sort of thing before. You've got there's usually like the straightforward answer, sort of a jerk answer, and maybe a funny answer.
Right. Now let me tell you how these things normally work.
All right, go ahead.
So they give you three choices, like you explained. You can give the jerk answer, you can give the funny answer, and usually what happens is they'll brush off your jerk answer, they'll laugh half-heartedly your joke answer, and then you finally choose the right one, and that's the one that moves the story forward.
Right, that's right. So basically you can't fail is what you're saying.
Right.
Normally.
Right, normally.
Right. Well, you can screw up, I think. You can
screw up right off the bat in this game.
Yeah, I mean, one time I went in to try to do something, and they're like, yeah, you just leave, come back later.
Well, what happens in these early stages in the game? You are punished by giving the incorrect answer by having to go out and come back in, and if you do that enough times, the day will actually roll over, and you lose 20 grand from your pot.
Right. Which is, and so you're trying to keep that. So you're punished basically. Right. And you can be a real jerk.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of times the real jerk answer is the one the game's looking for.
So, but anyway, early on when you're confronted with these trees, you're trying to recruit this ninja to come with you into China. And I went into the bar, I did all the stuff, and I came outside, and there's a scene where you're in the town, all right, and you're looking around. And so the way you move in this game is basically when you put the mouse in certain areas of the screen, it'll say exit, and that means and that doesn't mean you're going to exit the scene. It means you're going to exit the scene going that way. There's an exit here. There's multiple.
The camera is going to shift somehow.
So that took me a while to exactly take a grasp of what was going on. Again, this is playing this from just like from a full stop forward, and then something else that I didn't realize until I bet it took me. I hate to say this, it took me hours to figure this out. Once you get the ninja on board, not to give too much away, you have to convince this guy to get on your plane. Okay, a la Howling Mad Murdoch from the old A-Team show, or I mean B.A. Baracus. Yeah. So I tried like gangbusters to get this guy on board. And you'd go in there over and over, and it basically says the same things. I mean, I will say they do a good job of kind of randomizing to make it not seem exactly the same dialogue, but a lot of times it is. The only other place you could go was the airport, the dock where your ship was, and this old broad that's next door. She won't even talk to you. So I tried everything. You've got an inventory. You can drag stuff to your guy to arm it. So I put my gun, and I threatened to do with the person next door with the gun to like put that away. I did everything I could. I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I literally just had to be moving the mouse around the town, and I saw there was a little piece of paper. I didn't realize you could pick stuff up there. I had no idea what you could even do it. Well, it turns out you've got to pick this piece of paper up to go there and make a paper airplane to show the guy that airplanes will work.
Right.
You know, that'd probably take you 5 minutes.
No.
For me, I struggled it took me a good while to figure that, because then I was like, okay, so we can scroll around on these screens and the stuff is there.
Right. I used this thing called the internet to figure it out.
Oh, so you cheated instantly. I tried not to.
Well, no, I mean, it wasn't instant, but when I couldn't figure it out after not an hour, I was like, you know what? I'm missing something here. And they don't make it immediately apparent, because in most adventure games, you walk into a scene and you just go crazy with the mouse. You're moving your mouse around trying to get. And one of the things that this game does give you in its corner is the cursor does change when it goes over something you can pick up.
Yeah, I noticed that eventually.
In this game, you're walking, you go outside, and you see this piece of paper, and at first you can't pick it up. It's blowing in the wind, and you have to wait for this piece of paper to fall to the ground before you can pick it up.
See,
and that's the first puzzle of the game.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't hold this against the game. This is an Aaron problem. I was just dumb. But I know we didn't understand the mechanics of how the game worked, the engine or whatnot. It's my first experience with this one. You know, all that said, I kind of like this, and in terms of the way this engine works. And the reason is, it's direct and to the point. There's a lot of reading. If you want less reading, if you don't want to read a bunch of stuff, you're going to be screwed.
It's not the game for you.
But if you don't mind looking through these options and deciding which one you think is the best or most appropriate,
it's a very choose your own adventure style way to play.
I wasn't going to say it or invoke it, but that's pretty much, I like that. Because for someone like myself, it's simpler. There's not going to be a bunch of like management or crazy stuff. It's just straightforward. This is a very leisurely style game. Excuse me. I found up to the point where as far as I got, I found the dialogue to be pretty amusing. Sometimes the problem is with some of the responses you've got, every one of them is your guy's a jerk, and so
So they take the Han Solo motif, which which was a motif before Han Solo, but that's what everybody knows, and they push it to 11. Yeah. I mean, this guy is a jerk with a heart of stone. There's no heart of gold. He's a creep, and he's a jerk. He's racist. There's not much to like about this guy.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's that bad. I mean, you got to think about this guy is an ex-military guy. He's living in China.
Oh, ex-military guys are all jerks and racist?
Come on, listen, I didn't find him racist, per se.
Speak American is what he says mostly.
That's not racist. That's dumb guy.
Okay.
That's a little bit different. Plus, again, we got to grade this. You got to listen. Today's sensibilities are not the same as they were in 1992. I know that seems ludicrous, but I'm right.
You are right.
And so you can't be like...
But even back then, people knew that was not... people were not safe. This guy's set up to be a jerk.
He's a lovable jerk.
No, he's just a jerk.
He's a Han Solo, but he's out there trying to save this girl. I mean,
because his plane is in the Hawk.
That's not... He'd do it anyway. Come on, he's a nice guy. He's not a complete jerk. I disagree with you on that. Along the way, you will recruit if you can figure it out. And by the way, I will say you don't have to recruit this guy.
Yeah, you can.
And I'm not sure what happens if you. I didn't get too far or with him, so it didn't matter. But you could recruit this ninja once you convince him he could fly safely, and then you sort of can actually use his character. He's got his own inventory. You click on him. He's a ninja. Woo, that's pretty cool.
He says ninja when he wins.
That's the way. That's the way it should be. That's exactly right. He doesn't say that. And then but this is one of those games, remember the old grumpy person next door? Once you get the ninja, all of a sudden now you can get through.
Yeah, he can speak Chinese, so he helps you through your various difficulties.
I will say, I like a lot of the times when you're next door and you're talking to the jerk without him, you can see what the person is thinking, and they think in English, and they're not kind to you.
Because you're a jerk.
Yeah, you are a jerk. So I thought that was kind of funny. So, everything. And you remember when we played Flight of the Amazon Queen? There was a central area that you could move through a bunch of spoked areas. This sort of uses that same sort of effect at the beginning with the rickshaw and your plane. When you land, it's the same kind of thing. So moving around is not that difficult. It's not a pain in the butt. I wouldn't say this game holds your hand, at least the parts which I need a lot of hand holding, to be completely honest with you. But it looked cool, and if you have enough time to sit down and fiddle with this stuff, I guess you can figure it out. Because these little puzzles aren't necessarily my thing. I enjoyed. I like the fact that you get to travel all over the place. Of course, I got as far as I could get, which wasn't that far. I watched some playthroughs of it. I didn't watch all of the playthroughs. I didn't want to see the ending.
Oh, I watched the whole thing.
Okay, well, you want to? I did watch the 2 arcade sequences. This game has. And this was a thing, right, that you'd see occasionally in these types of games, that they would stick in some, like, twitchy stuff. This one has 2 twitchy bits in it. There's one twitchy bit where you're having this, like, chase scene with, like, a tank, which looked pretty cool. And it was using, it looked like it was using maybe the same sort of engine they used in, like, say, Stellar 7 or something, or maybe one of their other games. So they probably just grafted that onto it. Then there's another chase scene, which it looked okay too, but from what I read, people don't like that.
You're on top of a moving train.
Yeah.
It's very similar to North and South. Like, the graphics look very similar to that. It's
North and South, the
Amiga game. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. You know the scene where you storm the fort?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Huh.
In all the graphical fidelity that entails.
I wonder why they stuck that in there.
What you do is, instead of actually like using an action button to fire or whatever, you have 3 boxes that's like attack, evade, something else, and you click those check boxes for your guy to do the thing. I can understand. I didn't get this far, so I didn't actually play it, but I can understand how it would not be very well liked.
Yeah. I guess I can understand that too. This game had a how could I put this? This game had, this is another one of those games that reminds me of like an old TV show, or like maybe a second tier movie. But it's sprawling. It goes all over. Apparently, half the game takes place messed around in China, and half it takes place abroad. I didn't get that far, but it looked. I like I have to say, as far as these games go, I did like the interface a lot, and so I give it marks for that. What did you think of what are you sold on the kind of digitized graphics?
This comes down to personal opinion.
All right. Yeah.
I have always been a bigger fan of stylized pixel art over early digitized photos.
Yeah.
For example, I'll always like Street Fighter the way it looks more than Mortal Kombat. I'll always like the way that Monkey Island or Flight of the Amazon Queen looks over a game like this.
Yeah.
Now, does this game look better? Well, it depends on what better means. Do these humans look more like real humans? Yes. Do they look as pretty as a really beautifully drawn pixel art scene? In my opinion, no. I mean, this game has a lot in common with Flight of the Amazon Queen. I mean, you're a fish out of water type situation. You're running around in an exotic land. But the way that the 2 games approach it obviously is very different. Your guy in Flight of the Amazon Queen is not nearly as much of a jerk.
That guy is much more lovable.
Yeah.
And I like the system in that too, as you'll recall. I think I like this system. This system's a lot simpler, even than that one.
It's simpler, but it's also more awkward. Like you have to click on things 2 or 3 times just to get to the inventory screen where you can drag something from your inventory to your guy. Because when you first click on your inventory, you don't see your guy on there.
You can right click on that, and they'll take it to where you can put stuff on it.
Yeah, I went around. I probably didn't do things the most efficient way, but I figured out how to do it, and I just did it that way. I understand why they did it. They didn't want to do the scum thing where half of the screen is taken up by commands, and that's fair.
Yeah, I like that too.
And
you get a lot of room there.
These are fully drawn scenes too. This is not like Time Traveler where they did something like that, but at the same time they only had a third or maybe half of the screen, and the rest was black, when they were drawing the different rooms and things. So the amount of art that was created for this game is pretty substantial and looks good.
If you look at the amount of people that did art for it, it's like 13 people. I mean, it's like tons. I looked at the credits. I was like, holy smokes. So they had a lot of people doing it. And like I said, to me, it looks like what they did was place digitized characters over like hand-drawn, hand-painted art, which is fine. It looks good. It's got a good look to it. I think this game, I prefer this. Flight of the Amazon Queen is more endearing. And you can't help but compare these two, right? It is a more endearing game, but it also is this is less goofy.
It is less goofy, for sure.
This is more, this isn't mega serious, but it's pretty serious.
Although when you're making a paper airplane to convince someone that real airplanes fly.
I mean, I said less goofy. It's still pretty goofy. There's no talking monkeys.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, you got a ninja, always cool. I like I'm kind of like with you with a butt. I do prefer the graphics.
You're like me with a butt.
Yeah, I'm a bigger one. I like the hand drawn stuff a lot, but that one said this thing. I think they do a decent job because of the beautiful backgrounds and the actors and stuff. They look they do a decent job with the kind of digitized gimmick.
Oh yeah, I mean for the technology available at the time, this was as good as you could get.
Yeah, so I think graphically it looks okay. Like I said, I like the interface. This interface may be a little too lean for your pros. If you're a guy that goes out and plays the crap out of these things, this is probably not going to be your bag because it doesn't give you a lot of control either.
Right.
I mean, it does take you along.
And I don't like the way that there are fail states in this game. And I hate point and click adventure games where it's game over, where you're not free to explore everything you want to explore.
I learned that immediately when I took my plane and it said, "Where do you want to land?"
And then you click on a random place and
bam, you're dead.
Yeah,
game over. And there's no jumping back a step either. You're boned.
Right.
Did that happen to you?
Well, I use save states. So.
Oh, I did too, but yeah, when I could. I tried this on this ran perfectly fine on my Amiga. I had any trouble with it, but again, save states. I always play these things with save states. This thing reviewed real well. Going into the PC area for a minute, this was the PC Format magazine declared this one of the 50 greatest computer games ever. That's high praise.
Well, in '92, I mean, there weren't that many.
Yeah, and what? That's garbage. You dipstick. This had conversions. By the way, did you know there's a Mac version of this?
Really?
Yeah, there's an Apple Macintosh Classic version.
Yeah, so this is like a black and white. Maybe play it on the old Mac Plus.
And of course, there were PC versions that span the globe, which probably made it pretty easy to convert because they were supporting C. This is a CGA port.
Wow.
So you think we're complaining about the way things look? They were really, but Lemon, the folks over at Lemon gave this a respectable 7.71, and there were tons of reviews. Just to scoot over a couple, Amiga actually gave it an 89, Amiga Computing gave it a 93, Amiga Format gave it a 90. It's funny when you go. I always put the ones that they left the first time, then when they would go back, and they always would crush the games afterwards. Amiga Mania. Oh yeah,
it's running wild.
Mania, running wild. I don't know why I did my Macho Man. 93% and Amiga Power 84. CU Amiga 83. So this game was squarely in the 80s. I would say with a few outliers in the 90s.
This was really at the time when even LucasArts, they largely abandoned the traditional SCUM engine and were experimenting with different input methods and things. So this was a heady time in the world of adventure games.
Now, we should go back for a minute to the fact that this had 9 discs.
Yeah.
I believe, as I read, that you could actually do a hard drive install this if you had a hard drive in 92, which I think not that many Amiga owners had. 9 discs is a lot of discs. That's a lot of discs, especially for a game like this. That's a lot of discs to manage, and it's a lot of discs to swap.
And a lot of discs that can possibly fail.
That's right. And I always wonder about these games that have all these discs. And as you mentioned, having 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 discs, it's not instant failure. I mean, Monkey Island did it. Some other big adventures have done it. But I'm always, a little leery of having that many games with that many discs. 'Cause it was always something that worried me, and you're always praying. Because I've been there when you're waiting for disc 4 has been a little funky. Disc 4 hoses you, you know, and you're screwed. And a game like this, if you got well far into it, that would suck.
It would suck.
So, but that was just that was the way it went back then. So, to close it up, your parting thoughts. Where does this thing rank for you?
Well, we're going to take a look at some of the Discord reviews.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
We only had a couple for this week, and I'm going to pull them up post haste. So it looks like Amigos game reviews. There we go. Heart of China, Chris Folds. Decent graphics, terrible clunky point-and-click adventure, which is a bit dull. 5 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, not so good. Graham Vebke says, a bit of a clunky being the operative word here, point-and-click adventure title. The art style is its best feature, which reminds me almost like oil paintings.
That's what I said. Yeah,
true.
I agree.
The puzzles are not too difficult, more strange, but there are too many cheap game overs from the slightest mistake. All in all, I found this to be quite a drab and frustrating experience, and the music is annoying. 5 out of 10. So just a couple of Discord reviews. Not exactly glowing reports.
I'm surprised they were. I thought it was, again, for clunky for them is not too bad for me considering I don't know much better. So overall, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I would play it again.
Here we go. Does it have compelling characters?
Yeah.
No. Does it have good music? No.
It's okay.
Does it have good graphics? Yeah. How's the interface? It's okay. So I would say this is a 5 or a 6 for me. A 5 or a 6. It's not terrible, but it's not something I'd ever go back and play again.
I like it. I will go back and play it because it's the interface that I can dig. I can get into it. I didn't hate the characters as much as you. You got a ninja on your team, for God's sake. Ninjas?
He doesn't do a lot of ninja stuff, though.
Oh, he does.
I want my guy showing up right out of the gate, shuriken to somebody's face.
Well, listen, it's kind of neat that you don't have to take him. I like the fact that that you can do things differently when you play this game. That gives you a little replayability. The fact that they included action scenes that you can skip. Listen. That's a great feature because if you don't want to play the action scenes, you don't like them. You just beam right over them, and it says you completed them. But if you do like them, that's kind of cool.
The biggest fault for this game, and it would probably be an 8 if it weren't for this. I hate adventure games where you're not free to roam about, try things out, experiment, and have fun without penalty. And that's one thing that LucasArts figured out. That Sierra took them a while to get on the board, and some people never did. Well, and that's a game design choice, but it's just not how I like my adventure games.
They in this particular game, to simulate the seriousness and the brevity that you need to take in doing this, they have made it so you can get killed, so things can screw you over, so things can take more time. You're right.
That sounds fun. Oh, no, it sounds awful.
Right, but it gives you a motivation to perform.
It gives me motivation to take the disc out of the system.
And something else you're forgetting that this does that a Monkey Island doesn't do, and this would do it. This has a much higher replayability. Can I get there faster? Can I get there in less moves? Can I come back out with more money?
That's fair. That's fair.
And these type of games and plus the arcade sequences. Can I perform better in these, or can I do better? And we'll get back to them if you like them. These games are not known for their replayability.
That's true.
So
that's true. You got a point there.
That's just me. But overall, I thought it was pretty interesting. I like that era. I like that sort of. I like to think that it's like neat to pretend that you're just a guy that can just hop in his plane and just fly anywhere he wants in the whole world. You're in China. It's an adventure. I like that high adventure stuff.
Did you ever play? Have you played any of the newer visual novels that have appeared on?
I've heard a lot about them. I've never played.
I played on the DS. I had this game called Room 18. I think it was called that, and it was you were in this hotel. And this game really reminded me the amount of dialogue. It is like a story. It's a callback to the choose your own adventure in the biggest way, where there's very little puzzle solving, and you are just kind of uncovering it like you'd watch a movie. So I realize there are fans of this genre. It's not my cup of tea.
I think it's somewhere between the novel things you were just talking about and a point and click adventure. I'll take it.
Oh, okay.
I need help.
Last week, Aaron, the supporter song challenge. And again, if you'd like to support the show, we'd love it. You can visit our page at everythingamiga.com/support to find out how you can support us either through PayPal or through Patreon. we had some winners. We had a lot of winners last week. I kind of tossed out a softball.
Too easy.
This was The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel.
My kid sings this all the time. It's very disturbing.
Yeah, it's a meme.
Is it?
Yeah. I was disturbed the first time I heard my students singing it, and then they told me of its meme legacy.
That's weird.
Yeah. So Ed Van Helen, congratulations. He's camping right now. He said he was on his way to the bar / bowling alley / pool hall part of the campgrounds. It seems like a better campground than I've been.
That sounds better than our town.
He's not over there at Foxfire, I can tell you that.
He's not. That's where you bowl with a rock and you hit a stick.
Yeah. Terry Howard, congratulations. Jan Holbrow, Gary Heather, and Matthew Perron. Congratulations to all of you for guessing the name of the song. If you know this week's song, you can email me at john@amigospodcast.com. A little bit of a trick this week, a little bit of a gimmick. I'm going to sing a medley of.
Well, how's the correct answer going to lay down?
Well, you can be a winner or you can be an ultra winner. Okay.
Okay.
You can guess one or more of the songs and be recognized as a winner. To be the mega winner, you've got to know all 3 songs and the artist.
Wow, okay.
Okay,
all
I'm
right.
raising the stakes here.
So these are all sang by the original
Original tracks by the original artist.
All right.
$9.95 on K-Tel, yeah. Decker Threepwood, and Gary had the free lunch. Kate Fox David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lobsterminator, Craig McClellan, 10-minute Amiga Retrocast, Counting Virtual, Sheep, Bernard Quinn, Retroman Cave, Tim Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Etta, Rob O'Hara, Howard Nibbs, Matthew Lara Moore. Well, Andy Craig, Sean Zoe, and Darren Lomax, Colin 419, Mark Bid Rolenberg, Andrew Monks, Joe the Zombie, John Cook, Dan Ross, Leaf, Kalon, Alan, Bob Checote, Level Lord, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocha, Creepy Dead Boy, Figure C to Z, The Slow Norris, Stefan Sorgard, Mortensen, Edvin Helen, Blindo 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abbott, Chris Folds, Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham Bebby, Lane Denson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Huckasey, Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Tapes from the Crib, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim, Tommy, Humbert, Stan, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Warnes, Pixels at Dawn, Kjol Bjorn Barman.
Kind of wind that one out there at the end. I don't know. I've got a guess, but I'll take it off the air.
Okay. So those were 3 tunes by the same artist. If you know, then John at AmigosPodcast.com.
Hey, a couple shout-outs I want to give before we shut the show down. Since we didn't go over the YouTube stuff this week, we had, I believe there was one last video put up from the Retro Revival show over there. It's an audio-only track.
Oh, yeah, we didn't go over our YouTube videos at all. Let's talk about those real quick. Yeah. So, why don't you talk about what was on ARG last week while I pull this up real quick?
ARG was, we did have a show, contrary to popular belief, and we covered board games. My brother picked out, I picked out Dungeon. Gosh, what did Brent pick? He picked out Heroescape. Which is right in the middle of the road of a board game. Yeah, I guess you make your own board, but that's about the extent of it. I will say Heroescape, it was great fun when you're playing Mech Warrior. It was a show. We had a good time. And then this week we just got one in the can. The upcoming show will be arcade games of the early '90s. Will be our topic of this week.
And Pixels at Dawn, this is a talk, Commodore talk with David Pleasance. This is an audio only
Our good buddy.
deal.
Ooh, I like how nice that is. Eh?
Man, I'm telling you, Pixels has become an After Effects genius.
Pixels is a machine. He did a good job. What else did we put up this week? Do we have anything else? I can't remember. Oh yeah,
I did a quick stream of Heart of China. We talked about that, and then why don't you talk about the Amigathon 2018 Hour 17, which has been put up.
It's just popped. We are winding down our coverage of last year's. Look at my hair in that.
Yeah, you look great.
You know, if only, Boat. But we are winding down last year's Amigathon. This was hour 17. This is the hour that broke you, Boat.
It was.
In fact, this is another show where I was rewatching this earlier. It's yet another show where we got into of all the places, we got into another fight on this show when you badmouth Cinemaware, and I was appalled at that. So if you want to see me and Bo go at it again, you can watch hour 17. That's on the pre-show, not during the show. Then Bo yells at other people during the show.
It's wonderful.
And coming out, I'd say releasing by the time you watch this, coming out on Wednesday or Tuesday will be hour 18, and then lastly hour 19, which I'm going to release next Friday.
The day before Amigathon 2019.
Think about it. You can watch 19 hours of Amigathon to get fired up for the next 12 hours. Now, I will say, and we mentioned this before, but hours 20 through 24 are lost
to the mist of time.
But if anyone has these on their hard drive, give us a ring.
Yeah, we'd love to see those.
Well,
hidden
I don't
hours.
really want to see them, but if they have them, I'll go ahead and take them. But the stream peters out during the last day, so in hour 19 we'll have every bit of footage that was left, and then that's it. That's the end of them. So that'll be the last one. So it's taken us all. The timing was perfect, Boat. Not real.
Conditions are perfect.
There's about 7 months.
Nothing good on TV.
I didn't release any of these.
Conditions are perfect.
There you go.
So next week, Aaron, we are going to play. Well, next week we're not going to have a show. Next week's Amigathon.
Amigathon. Ooh.
But
feel it.
The week after next, we are going to play Zany Golf.
Oh man, this one I do know.
Get ready.
You know, my brother's a big fan of this one. So I will be ready. I love mini
Is this
golf.
the same Zany Golf that you played on the Atari Lynx?
No, that was another game.
Okay.
That was much crappier, never released game. That Brent, as usual, he's done it again. He dug that dog up.
All right, well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to tune in at any point or all 12 hours of Amigathon. And next Saturday, make sure that you have hit the little bell that lets you know when we go live at 10 a.m. UTC. We hope to see you all there. We're going to have a blast. Until then, keep on playing the Amiga. Adios.